All right, let's get started here. My name is Pat Palingo from the marketing at Yale Appliance. With me today is Steve Scheinkoff, our CEO, and Francesco Froio, our general manager. We have a really exciting topic today, really timely as we get into the bulk of the year here. We also have a lot of great questions from the registration that we will get to after the presentation. Do use the Q&A feature in Zoom as questions come up along the way. We should have a really good amount of time to answer your questions at the end here. Just some housekeeping. We are recording, so we will be sharing this recording in the presentation PowerPoint after when we email the follow-up. You can view this and all of our other previous webinars on our YouTube channel. So if you have questions, that's a really great resource for lots of great other topics as well. And with that out of the way, turn it over to Steve.
All right, thank you, Pat. Appliances, trends. This is a watershed moment in the appliance business because we have got both trends to follow and avoid at all cost. I think you'll find it really informative. A lot of good questions at the end too. I had to look a few of them up, so kudos. Anyway, let's start by starting. The most revolutionary appliance ever introduced. I'm going to qualify that by saying I've only been doing this since 1986. Alfred Dupuy of La Cornue created the stove when everyone's cooking fire. We're not at that point, but this one could change the way you do laundry. This is due out in June. This is a brand new GE all-in-one washer and dryer. All right, let's go over the features here. It's a washer dryer combination, meaning you throw it in the wash, it comes out dry. So you never have to transfer again your washer drying. It's a heat pump. Heat pumps are revolutionary insofar as they're not condensers, not heating elements. How a heat pump works is it recycles the air, it filters out the moisture, the compressor sends the air right through the heat exchanger, and it comes back as heat, and the cycle gets redone. So it's energy efficient. It's 110 volts. You could put this in. You could put this in like your dining room, your living space, and we'll get to more of that in a minute. It's got their 32 load auto dispenser. It's smart. You can track it on your phone, and it's 4.8 cubic feet. It's not one of the smaller washer dryer combos, or not. It's not compact laundry at 2.5. So it's full size and then some, and it's ventless. Never have to clean a vent again. Now, could change the way we do laundry, except for a few questions that we have. Washer dryer combos have never worked. And the reason is because lint strangles it. There's no effective way to remove the lint, right? So, and I get a lot of pushback online for it. It's always by like a single person who says, who travels a lot, use it once a week. Well, that doesn't count. For a family of 5, a washer dryer or a family using consistently washer dryer combos is not something you should buy. Heat pumps, there hasn't been a 110 successful heat pump, and heat pumps take more time because they dry at a lower temperature. And this is a 110, so you don't get full power out of it. And it's big. So I don't see how the three can go together, although what they did design was the filter right there. So it can remove filter, but it can remove filter, it can remove lint. But this is they're very high on this piece. They've tested it. They say it's all based on airflow. And hopefully we're going to be talking to this guy, the person who's the project manager. This is Ken Rudolph. A couple of weeks, we're going to have a YouTube live with him, but this could change the way you do laundry, but I wouldn't plan my laundry around this one piece just yet. Let's just say that, right? But heat pumps are definitely in. For a compact laundry, you should buy a heat pump because you're going to save. I don't know if anyone's looked at their electric bill lately. You could save $10 to $15 a month very easy with a heat pump, because really all the dryer is a very old technology of taking air in, using basically a larger hair dryer to dry it and then expelling it out the other way. And again, heat pump is recycling air with the compressor heating up the moisture, so the air comes out the other side is hot. So if you're planning for all you city dwellers out there, if you're planning a compact unit, definitely buy the heat pump dryer with it. Gas is not out yet. We've had a lot of publicity. The gas is going out. And gas, you cannot, developers in multi-units, and certainly in Boston and Cambridge, can't put gas ranges in their projects anymore. And gas, as you know, as you probably have read, gives off carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrous oxide, formaldehyde, particulate matter, some nasty fumes. Now, burning fat, what they don't tell you is electric and induction do some of that as well. Now, there's some climate change. There's some climate change factors that go into gas as well. But the real problem here is, as I see it, is back in the old days, my mom had a caloric gas range, 8,000 BTUs. Even the basic self-cleaning ranges will have 15,000. And the basic ranges, if you go up to kind of midline, go to 21,000 BTUs. So you're cooking on 2 to 3 times the power. That's not even including pro ranges. 2 to 3 times the power of a regular range that my mom had. And at the same time, you have building standards where the windows hold air much better and don't let air inside and don't let air outside. So it stays in your house a little bit longer. So all those fumes you're breathing in much more. The key to it, whether you buy whatever heat source, whatever cooking you do have, is to vent properly, the 24-inch deep hood, vented directly to the outside, either straight up or straight back. This is the best way to mitigate it. Now, gas is not out for another reason, because to transfer from gas to induction, you need to update from 12 amp to 50 amp. So you have to change electrical box. You'd have to change the breaker, certainly. You'd have to rewire and put a new outlet in. And best yet is to find an electrician to do that. Estimated cost is $300 to $3,500 in the Boston area if you're so inclined. The other thing you should know is that induction isn't available in the larger 48 or 68-inch sizes yet. Anyway, I know there is one 48-inch, but you shouldn't buy it. So at the same time, induction is mostly in. Induction is the best heat source. What happens is it's magnetic heat. The magnets of the burner heat up the metal pan. Pan cooks the food, so the glass does not get hot. So it's easy to clean. It's the most child safe because it doesn't get hot. Remember, the gas burner is still hot after you turn it off. It's by far the fastest to boil, best to simmer, easiest to vent. However, you can't light it in case the power goes out in some of the rural areas. And there's a worldwide shortage of induction drivers. So right now, we only have 3 induction stoves available. But I think in the next few years, I think you're going to see a slow phase out of gas and a more move to induction. Color is in, yay, right? You're seeing these white on white kitchens, you're seeing people putting dollops of color in the island, whether it's blue or browns, you see, but you see a lot more color now than you ever have, right? Best place to put it for those that are a little bit timid is to put it central part of your kitchen, which is always your range in a good kitchen design, right? But just remember one thing, stainless is not out, nor will it ever be, because the best brands like Wolf, Sub-Zero, Thermador, Bosch, Thermador, Miele are only stainless steel, and on the lower side to get a kitchen package affordably, those are all stainless steel. However, you can get more color now than ever, and you get it in more places than ever. This is true. They've come out with their 12th periwinkle blue color. You can also match the hinges with 6 different hinge styles. I believe that's the satin brass. The most popular colors, most popular color when I started was white, white on white. Now it's white. Cafe's got this is a kitchen. I believe it's our Hanover store. It's white and brass. You get a white and copper. You can do black, which was popular years ago. And you get also the stainless steel with the white in many different lines, such as Cafe. Black is in. This is matte black, Blue Star. You can get glossy black in companies like Fisher Paykel. I just wouldn't buy the black stainless steel because that's just an oxide coating. It'll peel off, showing the stainless underneath. We did a scratch test that's on YouTube that you can check out, and it's non-warranty. So if you breach it, that's the way it'll look until you replace it. Now the new color, white, black, and green. Green is back. So if you're looking to be trendy in 2023, 24, green's your color. Again, if you don't want to, for people, putting a dollop in or on the stove is to keeping your stove unique. I'm not sure I do all green appliances, but that's certainly up to you. New companies are in. Never before will you be able to get such a selection of new companies, some from China, mostly Italian based. And here's the thing, they should be out. You shouldn't buy them. We're not. Let me take that back. You're free to do anything. These are aesthetically beautiful ranges. I know a few of you have asked questions about them in the end, but they're low on performance. And before you buy one, you should go to a store and check it out. One of these companies now has a recall of 100,000 ranges due to carbon monoxide poisoning. So you got to be careful. We service what we sell, so we can't carry every brand. But just be careful. There's support near you for any of these that you buy. I would be remiss to tell you I would think to buy just a regular known product, but it's certainly your call. The most exciting appliance is definitely your refrigerator. I get bashed around a lot for not liking the bespoke, and I'll tell you why. That's the bespoke in the middle. You can get umpteen combinations for your refrigerator. Stove is naturally just central point, but for everything else, it's black stainless. Your choices are black stainless steel, which you shouldn't buy. Tuscan bronze, which you won't buy because bronze doesn't match with anything. Navy, which isn't really all that popular, and stainless steel that you're trying to avoid. Now they introduce white, which makes more sense. And then you have all the panels. So you don't really get a coordinated look with the current bespoke, but that doesn't matter because the new bespoke, you can put, it works from an app on your phone. You put a picture of anything. Love your kids, there'll be a picture on your refrigerator. Your dog, cat, wine, whatever. On the right-hand side, we have the LG, 60 different colors on each panel with even a jukebox mode. So it can go simultaneously in different colors. Really interesting. But what I really like about it is, look at the ice maker. It's on the inside of the freezer where it belongs. And the default color on the right is stainless steel. One on the left is on white. So if you ever get sick or tired of doing it, it defaults to colors that actually go well in your kitchen. So very interesting. Those are due out in June. Sustainability should be in. Here's a question, audience participation. There are 60 reclaimed bottles on that outer tub. That's what you're looking at in the green. That's recycled plastic. How many bottles? This is a small company in Turkey called Beko. How many bottles do you think they've reclaimed since doing this in 2017? Just a guess. You think maybe 2 million, 8 million, 10 million, 15 million? Well, if you guessed any of those, you'd be wrong because it's 58 million bottles worldwide, right? Now, sustainability has to be, I don't think you're going to get it at a governmental level, and I don't think businesses naturally go that way. I think it has to be consumer driven. I think I need to do a better job telling you who's sustainable. But if you made sustainability part of your purchases, everyone would get the message. And if companies like LG, Samsung, Whirlpool reclaim their outer tubs in plastic, you're talking about billions of plastic water bottles reclaimed. So I think sustainability would be good if more people requested sustainable products and bought sustainable products. The outside is in. You're looking at my new grill. It's actually not a grill, it's a griddle. I think I'm 10th in line here at Yale to get mine. This is Traeger's new outside grill. Blackstone's been popular, but what's nice about this is that first, this is 3 zones. So you can cook. I'm looking forward to cooking scrambled eggs. I know my kid won't eat. The bacon she'll eat. The French toast we'll fight about. All on 3 different kind of areas there. And it's very easy to clean. You scrape to the front. There's a nice, see the grease cup right over the propane. It makes sense. I think you could do so much with a griddle. It's so underrated as a cooking instrument, if you will. I'm looking forward to mine. And that's due out, I think it's going to the showrooms in the next week or so. Anyway, this is the new Traeger smoker. Traeger gets bashed around a lot, rightfully so. They call themselves a grill, but it's really a smoker. Grilling is high temperature. You get it with gas, you get it with charcoal. You don't get it with pellets. And this is a pellet type grill. Nice thing is it infuses flavor. It's low and slow, so you could smoke a pork shoulder if you want. But you can't cook burgers in 5 to 10 minutes like you do at a gas grill. But what they did that was kind of nice in this one is take a look on the left. That's an induction burner you can put a grill on. So you can grill quickly. You just can't grill quickly with this stove. But really what I think is so exciting. We did a webinar last year that we're going to redo how to plan your outside space. Is when I started in the 80s, there weren't outside grills really per se. In the 90s, you had Lynx and Weber leading, but you could never coordinate an outside kitchen. Like if you wanted a space that your family can relax in the May to October window we have here in New England, the cabinet people didn't have watertight cabinets. Contractors couldn't plan it out, and appliance stores could only sell you the grill. They couldn't teach you how to put it together. But now there are turnkey solutions. We use Urban Bonfire. There's a couple other ones too, where you basically, here's a great piece of advice. Go to your outside, tape off, put the grill in the middle of whatever it is you're doing. You know, there's shapes like the U peninsula that I can get into in their next webinar. You know, the straight, what you're looking at is the straight bank of cabinets there. And then you have the 2 islands where you cook and entertain in different ones, where you could just tape it off, give it to us. We can plan it out for you and then put whatever it is you want in there. And these are watertight cabinets. It's a turnkey solution, gets delivered to you. We put in the grill and the griddle, and it's really easy. I think you get it, last year it was 4 weeks. And you get it done really, really nicely. And you get a number of different fronts to it. I think it's really, really exciting, and it's a trend that's here to stay. Let's talk about more sobering things, like the supply chain is back to normal, depending on what you buy. Now, I finished this webinar 2 weeks ago, had a sales call yesterday, and we talked about Sub-Zero, Wolf, and Cove. Now, they're popular for a reason. They make really good appliances, really good luxury appliances. In fact, most of the ideas have come from Sub-Zero, still American-based, family-owned. It was 10 to 16 months lead time. Now I'd say it's 12 to 20 months. So really what you do with Sub-Zero and Wolf is you order it before your project starts. Once you get your kitchen plan, you would order your Sub-Zero fridge and your Wolf cooking. I put Cove dishwashers in there as well. They're owned by Sub-Zero. You're looking at absolutely the longest lead time appliance ever. You're looking at a 2 to 3 year time. This is a Thermador speed oven. So it cooks a microwave, oven, and speed combination. And funny story is I had somebody reach out to me asking if I could help. They had an order in here for a while, and I found out there were 4 coming in the country. So I got one. I make those phone calls every once in a while, or when I'm asked. The guy sent me a thank you note that it was only an 18-month lead time. We quoted him 2 years. It's 2 to 3 years for Thermador speed oven, and the rest of the line, it's so fluid we don't even know half the time. So we always tack on 3 to 6 months on top of anybody's lead time. I put Bosch dishwashers in. Again, Sub-Zero, Wolf, Cove, Bosch, Thermador. Those are some of the best appliances you can buy. Most popular when the supply chain was really fading, and I think they're just catching up. So for those brands, you would buy them before the project gets started. For everything else, here's some good news, except for induction ranges, is LG, GE, Samsung. We don't sell Samsung or Whirlpool, but you can get these within 48 hours, but you don't want to buy it now unless you absolutely need it. You want to wait for a holiday. Next one's Memorial Day, July 4th, tax weekend, which is Labor Day, coincides with Labor Day, and then Black Friday, which is really all of November. Anything after Black Friday is now defined as anything, you get the Halloween costumes off, anything from there to Thanksgiving is now Black November, and you could save 10 to 35% off. When you have a recession and all these companies that have ramped up production, the worst thing they can do is just have excess inventory. So I really think you're going to see some good deals. So I would wait. I'm in the business to sell things. I'm telling you to wait. Memorial Day, let's see how it goes. But if you can wait till November, I think you'll see some really, really good deals. You're starting to see them late last year. So here are my key takeaways. G combination is the most revolutionary appliance, or poor Ken is out of a job. I don't see how it can work, but they're really high up on it. They've ramped up the airflow. So let's see. Gas ranges are not out yet, so you can buy a gas range. Tricolor or not, because stainless steel will always be timeless. Be very wary of new companies. We are, and now we're not selling them. Refrigerator, why not it be a jukebox? Something different, unusual, and it's stainless steel and get sick of it. Sustainability is something that's got to be driven by all of us. And lastly, for the main brands, order before you need it. For everything else, wait until you have to buy. For that, I'm going to say thank you and bring it over to Pat. We've got some great questions, really good ones.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, let's dive into the Q&A. Use the Q&A feature in Zoom to send us anything that you have questions about, anything about the presentation that came up, or anything on a project you're working on. Let's start with some of the questions from the registration. We have talked about smart technology a little bit, Steve. So how much technology do you really need in an appliance, and how much is too much? And that's you always present that topic with that context of what do you need and what's going to be useful. Do you want to talk about that?
Absolutely. I wasn't a big smart. In fact, it was one of the things that you don't have to buy. There's certain things I thought was bloated. Now let me go backwards. If you put something in the oven and you start it from your phone and that's what you do, that's great. But starting, stopping, changing temperature was all the first iteration of smart can do. Now we're in the second iteration. We actually get some functionality like looking in to the oven from your phone. I think it's very useful. I cook for my daughter. I'd love to see if the bacon was cooked at 18 minutes or 20 minutes when you get up. When you open the stove, all that heat gets expelled. You're seeing some really good functionality from GE and LG, and I think we're still pioneering their test where the range will tell you when it needs repair. I think that's really useful in a part that you need, because right now what we do, we have 2 guys in Carolinas that pre-diagnose all the calls that come in, right? And if the range could do that, that would save a lot of time, because we're not always right. Our first time completes are 74%. If they could be 100%, I think it'd save everybody a lot of time and aggravation. And I think there's some other features where Monogram's got the Heston Q, where you can follow recipes step by step. So I think we're getting there. And I think it's just one connection. I think Geniere's main mission in 2017, and they never followed up on this, was we want you to say, Alexa, make me lasagna. And we want that range to scan the ingredients in your fridge, to be able to come up with the ingredients, send away with DoorDash to get the ingredients, set the right temperature for the way you cook lasagna, and set the right temperature on your dishwasher, set the right cycle all in one. Never happened, but it's a good goal. I think we're getting there. I think really, we got to start somewhere. I think we're in the next iteration of some good functionality.
I think that dovetails into a follow-up question here, like function versus fashion and life expectancy. Appliances may look appealing but not perform. How does somebody make that decision for themselves when they're maybe comparing different options?
Why don't you start, Fran? I'll follow. I've got very definite opinions on this.
Yeah, and for sure, I think just in general, life expectancy of appliances has certainly changed over the last 25, 30 years. We see it a lot of times. Someone comes in and they're replacing an old refrigerator from 30 years ago. And it's like, well, that's great. And you're going to reset that expectation that's probably not going to happen this time around. On average, appliances really in general are about that 7, 8, 9 year life expectancy. Sure, professional products, built-in refrigerators like a Sub-Zero, Thermador, some of these other brands certainly build to last longer for sure. There's no question about it. But honestly, in general, I would say most appliances are really that 7, 8, 9 year life expectancy in general. And that kind of changes really just when you go to some of those more built-in professional appliances, certainly will get a longer life expectancy there.
Well, there's 2 different questions I'm getting there. First, yeah, the old stuff lasted longer, but it also used a heck of a lot more energy. I mean, that basement refrigerator that won't kick is costing you a lot of money. And a lot of that stuff is government driven where, your refrigerator uses almost no power now compared to 10 years ago. I think it uses a big 48-inch Sub-Zero uses less power than a 75-watt light bulb, something ridiculous. And that was all started in California with Energy Star of energy. So the new compressors and the new materials, the refrigerators aren't as thick. Like you look at the old ones, they're really thick insulation. You can't use those type of materials anymore, but you're saving a lot of money and energy. Insofar as fashion, one of the slides I have we were at KBIS, and I'm just shocked at some of the appliances that are coming out, how poorly made yet beautiful they really are. And you really have to check specifications. You got to open the fit and finish. We could never do everything because we got to service everything. And it's not worth our while to sell it, only to lose money on the warranty side when we got to warranty it for free. But I'd be very, very careful. Insofar as life expectations, the other thing is you have to maintain appliances. One of my friends was yelling at me because the Sub-Zero wine cooler blew. And I asked him, I go, when was the last time you cleaned under it? Like as per the instruction manual. And he goes, you got to clean under it? I go, yeah. So you had 6 years of dust underneath it, choked the compressor, right? So you got to maintain a little bit. We do a pretty good job of sending emails out of cleaning your appliances and going out there and doing that. And there's a certain amount of that, but there's no question. Appliances now are energy efficient. The name brands are good. Some of these imports, you really gotta see them. Take the fit and finish, look at the specifications. On a couple of these, you get one power burner and really what mounts simmer burners around there. The broiling is really, it's 10,000 BTU boilers that are non-infrared, small ovens. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you want something nice looking, sure. But if you want it to cook for your family, look elsewhere.
No question. And like you said, a lot of those newer brands, they're kind of in here trying to hit a price point, look nice, but they don't invest at all in the back end. And the features for sure, like you said, but you look into those service histories of where to get service. And some people have even put some of their service experiences out there on certain blogs and things like that. Like you can see it is very difficult to get service on these appliances.
And we live in an Amazon age. We want something this afternoon, tomorrow, the next day, and that'll never happen in appliances. But I mean, it's just crazy.
Let's switch over to induction. There's always lots of questions about induction, and it's become a hot topic lately. The question is details on the limits of induction and using cast iron. Is what we want to talk about, kind of benefits of induction and what some of its limits might be?
Yeah, really, just the limitations, I would just say, there's certain cookware that you would need to use. And not to say that, most people have their cookware that is already induction capable. Cast iron, stainless steel, anything that a magnet sticks to will work with induction. So, I wouldn't say there's necessarily any true limits to induction, because I do feel performance wise, it's just as fast as professional gas, really faster than professional gas. Simmering and having that temperature control, while you don't see it like you do with gas, and some people kind of perceive that having more control because they can see the flame, but truthfully, you're going to have way better temperature control from low to medium to high with induction, and faster, being able to go from high to low or low to high faster there too. So I wouldn't say there's a lot of limitations there. You definitely need to use the right cookware, but from a performance standpoint, and certainly a safety standpoint, induction is going to be a way better performer than traditional gas, is my feeling there.
Induction has been around, how long induction's been around? 1950s is when it was first started. We sold a GE cooktop in the 80s, and then it went away to like 2000s. A company called Diva out of Canada was the only one selling it. So a 4-burner 30-inch for $4,000. People bought it. So like 4 a month. But again, gas and electric have been around since the 1920s. When we talk about the latest and greatest appliances like heat pump technology, I mean, heat pumps have been around for 30 years. But be as it may, I have a cat now, right? And an electric stove in my apartment. And I gotta keep the cat away from the stove because you cook and there's always residual heat. Now, for people who love gas, even when you shut off gas, you still get that residual heat on that burner. But everything that is cooking is done better in induction. And I know someone asked a question about buzzing. That has to do more with the cookware. Cookware, you have to have a certain ferrous metal the better the metal content, the better the performance out of your pans. But again, we look at anything because the heat transfer doesn't go to glass. You get a much more child safe unit. You get something that's easy clean. It's not heated up, so it doesn't stick on it like it does in my electric range. It's faster to boil, faster to simmer, infinite simmer. Even a Thermador extra low, it gets extra low because it turns on and turns off. With induction, you get like a 1 degree. You could theoretically simmer forever, right? On an induction. So anything that's cooking related is just done better in induction. And again, put the magnet on your cookware, and that'll determine whether or not it's induction compatible.
And that induction kind of segues lately into comparisons to gas. So the question is, with news about gas becoming outlawed, I'm curious what you suggest the best stove cooktop purchase should be. Who wants to take that one?
I don't know. I really think, first of all, there's some climate issues because it turns out a lot of the methane from the factories to the piping, those will leak. And in California, where all the starts, Energy Star and all the starts, they have the earthquake considerations as well. With gas lines, it's not a good thing. But for all those people that want to convert to induction, it is a process. And if you have a power outages in your area, it's a problem. And all this can be solved residentially, which never happens in multifamily, which is why they should probably ban it, with proper ventilation. If you ventilate with a 24-inch deep to cover those burners, like I have an over-the-range microwave over my electric stove, it doesn't cover the burners, right? So if you buy a 24-inch hood over a gas range, it'll remove 98% of those fumes. And for those people that can't do it, open a window, get an air cleaner, cook on the back burners if you can. You don't have to convert your stove to an induction stove. It is, like I said in the presentation, it's breakers, it's the outlet box, it's the outlet, it's the wiring, it's finding an electrician. What's finding electricians like in the city of Boston right now? Can't do it. So I think you can either convert to induction if you want, or buy a gas range, really, and just vent it properly.
We have a couple of questions coming into the Q&A. Do just keep sending over the questions in the Q&A feature in Zoom. We have plenty of time to get to them. A question about the GE washer dryer. Basically, I'm surprised you're supporting a GE washer dryer. Maybe they've paid attention to previous content that we've posted about that all-in-one system before. But yeah, do you want to talk about why this one might be different? And of course, we still need to test this out ourselves and put it through its paces. But Steve or Fran, you want to take that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big differences, and again, we need to test it. So nobody's bought into this until we can physically see it, but it's an interesting concept for sure. I think the two big keys with kind of what's different with this one is definitely the heat pump technology and the filtering system that they built into it. Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see kind of if that works, but those are definitely two of the main differences with really compared to some of the other ones that have been on the market. So 110 with heat pump, you're seeing 110 and heat pump a little bit more. For sure, supposedly reduces the amount of lint that's kind of built up with a lower heat as well. And then, we'll see kind of how their filtering process works. And you can clearly see kind of a little bit thicker up top with their filtering process to kind of clean out that lint. And, we'll have to wait and see how it works, truthfully.
One good thing about it is it's got a good spin speed on the washer. I think it's 1300 RPM. So with the 1300 RPM, they're basically, If you leave a regular GE on for 12 hours, it's going to dry a small load of clothes, right? And they have that cycle. So the first thing is the spin speed. Second thing is hires a company that just makes good stuff, right? I've never met any, but whoever's behind the company, there's some engineering prowess. And a lot of his airflow, heavier airflow, and they've invested a ton of it. And it's interesting that you would ask, because I'm an anti-combo guy, no question about it. In fact, to buy a combo at Yale, you almost have to sign a waiver form saying that we told you not to buy it initially. But I think this is a good piece of technology. We're going to test the heck out of it before we send it out there. And I did say I wouldn't plan my laundry room around it, but it's got better RPM, it's got heat pump, and it's got filtering. I think it has a chance. Now we're gonna talk to Ken Rudolph one-on-one. I've got 12 pointed questions to ask him on our YouTube live thing. So it'll be very interesting what he says.
So yeah, we'll have that out scheduled on YouTube on shortly. Follow-up question there. When we say don't buy the wash dry combos, does that include the towers? And maybe I don't know if that's like the wash towers specifically, or just the stacked all in one.
Yeah, like LG has those wash towers. Yeah, no, that would be a very different concept because those are completely separate washer and dryers. There, so yeah, these are really kind of those all-in-one wash and dry in that same load. The combos like the LG wash towers have certainly become popular. Good reason for that too is having the controls right in the middle. So as opposed to stacking, having to reach up for the dryer controls, this is going to have everything right in the middle there. So yeah, very different concept with those wash towers or unitized.
Yeah, I love that piece. I don't know how the heat pump does though.
Yeah, so that's something we definitely want to test a little bit more too. The one thing that we've heard on the heat pump is definitely drying time can be a little bit lengthy for sure.
Yeah, which goes back to I wonder how GE is going to do it. But I guess we'll see.
Yep.
They say it's only going to take a little bit longer. You know, they put the cycles out on that expo and everything else. God, I hope it works.
Let's pivot back to induction. What's the quality of LG induction compared to other brands? Maybe talk about how the induction as a category works there.
You know, what's funny is I'm starting to look at these cooktops. You know, we have to break all these down, right? And publish what we see. And they all starting to look the same, right? You get the power burner in the middle, right? And then you have, the two elongated burners on the side. And most of them are like that. The ones that are different, the Thermador has the freedom where you can put it anywhere and then move it anywhere. And they've got the Liberty where you can go back and forth with it and it moves, the power moves with the pot. Wolf's got that really cool 4-burner, the 4-burner that you can join into one for a super burner. But other than that, though, they're all kind of the same. The lower versions don't have the burner sides to them. And some of the 30-inch don't have any of the adjoining burners as well. Mostly the same. I honestly, if I had and I got to do some more research on this, so this is very unqualified. If I was to do some research on it, I would say that they're getting the drivers pretty much from the same place. The drivers, the induction pieces from the same place. So I'm not really sure. And the tops are all made in West Germany. It's Schott, and then there's another minority, an Italian one called Cara. And those are the only two that you can buy them from. So the style look pretty similar to me.
Agreed. And that's, you can kind of see, we talked about supply chain and you mentioned that earlier. It's, induction's still kind of one of those categories, depending on brand, struggles a little bit, availability. And that is, a lot of those components are very similar between brands. And like you said, it's kind of, the wattage to some degree, but it's not a huge difference there. It's whether they can boost on certain burners and the bridge burners, like you said. So it's kind of some minor feature differences there. On the LG specifically, I would tell you the LGs and LG Baseline and LG Studio makes very good induction products. And some of the bad customer service rap, I think, comes from service from places that really don't service. So if you're contacting LG, if you have a service problem, really, I would say the same thing for any manufacturer. None of these brands do a great job investing in service on the back end when you have a problem. That's why we always say it is so critical to buy your appliance from someone that's servicing the appliance as well. Because I think you could have that same really negative experience with an LG or really a lot of different brands on the service end for sure.
Not just services, delivery and installation too.
Yeah.
I think LG makes really good stuff, especially on the water side. Washers, dryers, dishwashers are very reliable. And their induction products are pretty much equal to everybody else. It's just, I just don't think you can get them right now.
And Fran kind of segued into a question from the Q&A here. My repair service has stated that they will not support Samsung because of parts issues. Do we find the same issue? Is that universal? Is it just in the US or in just different metros? That's kind of a, yeah, who wants to take that one?
I'll take that one because I am integrally aware of warranty rates, having to negotiate them. The reason why repair people hate LG and Samsung is they don't pay for warranty calls. They pay like $70 or $75. So basically you call in, right, with a problem with the refrigerator. It was $75 for someone to come out, fix it, get the part, pay for the part, fix it in one time. And if they took 2 times, didn't matter, you're getting paid $75. That's why repair people hate Samsung and LG, because they're really, not so much LG anymore, because I think their rates are pretty fair. But when you see repairmen hating Samsung, it's because they don't get reimbursed, so they don't do it. But they don't have problems with parts. They really don't. Yeah, they have problems with service. And here's really what you need to know is it is the most popular appliance brand sold in the United States, right? Big in box stores. However, it's kind of like going from 0 to 60, right? Whereas the support is lagging in the start line because the support has never been able to catch up to the popularity of the brand. It's incredible. And that's why people don't like it, because you just can't get them fixed. And it's not because of parts, they have parts. It's just nobody wants to fix it. Would you? You'd be out of business if you fix Samsung appliances.
And so keep sending over questions in the Q&A. We have a couple more to get through here. Let's talk about steam ovens. That's always a popular category as well. The question is the quality of non-plumbed steam ovens. Do you want to kind of just briefly explain the difference between plumbed and non-plumbed and what that means, and then talk about the quality there?
Yeah, so plumbed, plumbed versus non-plumbed. Plumbed in general, a lot of brands will offer a plumbed steam oven, which means you have a direct water connection, similar to how you would in your refrigerator, ice maker, something like that. Nothing that you have to fill up to use. It just, you have a plumbed water line there, so a little bit more convenient. The other ones really have a small tank that you kind of fill up with water before you cook, and you put that into the machine. So, and I think I wouldn't necessarily say there's a con to a non-plumb. Sometimes installation can be much easier in a non-plumb because you don't have to worry about a water line. And most times too, it's not like you're really having to continuously refill that water reservoir as you're cooking. For the most part, that's really going to hold up really over anything that you're cooking in a steam oven. So that water will kind of last just as long as anything you're cooking, not really a need to have to refill there. So I would definitely say it's a much more convenient to have the plumbed for sure, because you don't have to fill it up. But then again, non-plumbed can be much easier to install. And I don't really necessarily think there's a huge issue with having a non-plumbed steam oven there. You're not going to really lose a lot of features, I would say. Certainly like a Gaggenau, for example, their newer ones have a nice self-clean option that really is only on plumb because they only offer plumb. So some of those things are a little bit easier to use on kind of a plumb. But again, I wouldn't say overall a huge disadvantage to have in most non-plumb steam ovens.
If you can learn how to use steam, you won't cook with anything else. Of the steam that's in the market, Gaggenau is the best because you can control the steam and cook. You can cook anything And that specifically, you can control the levels of steam in unlike any other product that we sell. That said, if you want to learn how to use Miele and you learn how to use Miele, if you want to learn how to use a steam oven, the easiest is that Miele M Touch, which basically just you touch the button, it asks you, well, what do you want to cook? You touch that button, and it cooks it. And then Wolf is fairly simple to use too. Those three really dominate in the plum section, because one thing in a recipe that takes a long time, you don't want to refill, you don't want to open the door to refill the steam. I mean, you know, I like the Gaganoff, use it, and Miele if you're just starting, because it really is so intuitive.
Really good follow-ups here about steam ovens. Do you recommend also getting a regular convection oven if you're getting a steam combo oven? You know, in that higher end segment like Miele, Wolf, Gaggenau. What goes into somebody deciding that?
Well, it depends on how much you cook. I personally think, for me, the steam combi is enough, where you can cook as steam, combi, or one or the other. And I love that Miele piece that does both, and I love the Gaggenau piece because you know, that's all. It's not menu driven like Miele, but you can really control things specifically. Like if you want 10% steam, you can do that in a Gaggenau. But it really depends on. I mean, everybody's different. You know, we're publishing a lot of blog posts now, and I'm doing key takeaways in the beginning, saying there's no one best product for everybody.
Yeah.
Right, because there isn't, or we have to display as much as we do, right?
For sure. And the size, you know, historically steam ovens have been a little smaller than a traditional oven, although those are getting bigger now too. You know, everyone's starting to come out with their steam ovens to be closer to a regular full-size wall oven. So like Steve said, it really depends, you know, how many people are in the home, how often you're cooking. But yeah, I would definitely say a lot of people can get away with, just like you said, you know, it's funny, a lot of people have both, but then they cook with the steam oven 95% of the time anyway. So, but you know, there could be those times that you have a large get together or a holiday, something like that, where it might make sense to have an extra larger regular oven as well.
And then there's a related question here. When we're talking about kind of secondary cooking, are speed ovens going to take the place of microwaves? So what do we say about that?
That all depends. Again, you can get a microwave fairly inexpensively, right? I don't use microwaves very much, although I'm going to use one in about 5 minutes to heat up my lunch. And I don't normally do that, but I just don't have the time to cook, right? Come to think of it, I never used a microwave, but now I've got to use it. I've got so much to do. And I don't think, because speed ovens are more expensive. I mean, you're going to spend a good amount of money for a speed oven. If you're only using a microwave, there's no need to do that. And you get microwaves that are decent, that are $200-300.
Well, I should have thrown this out at the beginning. Do you want to just quickly articulate what's the difference between a speed oven and a microwave for that reason?
Speed oven will cook as a microwave, an oven, or both in combination, right? You've got typically a convection bake and a convection boil. The convection bake is 90% convection, 10% for microwave. Convection boil is 70-30, typically, depending. And it's supposed to cook faster without that rubbery microwave texture. I think it's certainly a. You see a lot of in campers back in the day. You see a lot of those over the range sharp microwaves, but it really depends on how you cook. I think it depends on you. I mean, if you're just using it to heat up a cup of coffee, or you don't need a speed oven. The more you cook, the better off. I mean, the more you cook, the better off you are with speed. But it really depends on how you use it.
A few more questions. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Kind of fumbled that one, didn't I? A little bit.
That makes sense though, because I mean, truly, like a speed oven can really do everything a microwave can, but like you said, you know, it really depends on what you're using it for too. And certainly, speed ovens have become extremely popular over the last couple of years. And you know, what you see a lot of times is people, instead of getting a double oven, you're getting a speed combi oven or a steam combi oven, something like that, to give you a little bit more flexibility with that second oven, where you know most people aren't really using two full-size oven on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say is like, if you're listening to canned advice as you're listening to this, whether it's on YouTube a year from now or the people that are here, really think about how you use stuff, right? Especially everyone, they go to an appliance store and the salesman shows them the best thing ever without asking qualified questions of how you're going to use it. And that's a real mistake. I hate giving those kind of canned general answers. It really depends. Everything really depends on what you value and what you use, really at the bottom line.
We have a question about modular cooktops. Favorite modular cooktop models in the high end, Miele Wolf, Gaggenau. What goes into somebody comparing those options?
Yeah, really, I would say, they all offer kind of a few different types of modular cooktops, whether it's a gas or an induction and double gas burner. So they all have, some have like a power burner, teppanyaki, so things like that. They're all really good. I'd say Gaggenau's probably been doing it for, Gaggenau does a nice job with the ventilation kind of in between them that you can do, and being able to probably put together more different types of modular cooktops there. But again, kind of, they're all pretty good overall, but I would say Gaggenau is probably, will install, maybe not the easiest, but kind of give you that nice kind of contemporary installation design. You can have the controls in the front. So depending on what you're looking for and how you're looking for those to look, Gaggenau probably gives you the most flexibility, I would say.
Did you just say putting down rafts on the side of these things? Have you ever listened to any of our
I
webinars?
know, not the greatest, but flexibility what it gives you.
Well, again, first of all, what you're buying is you're buying style and specs, right? We don't sell a lot of modular stuff here for whatever reason. We display it, don't sell a ton. It's not as popular. I don't know whether it's people not being familiar with it, us not doing a very good job of informing it, or it's just too expensive. Because it is, when you break, it seems like when you break an appliance part, like you get a stove, say, right? And then you break it into wall ovens and cooktops, you're paying, 30 to 50% more. When you break that cooktop into thirds, then you're doubling the cost of that cooktop, just so you know. But it really comes to style with the controls on the top or on the front. Miele's done a nice job with their modular. Gaggenau is really nice. They're so different. Now, we just put those displays in. That's why it's in both our brains, right? But there are other units. Wolf's got their 15-inch, but they haven't modernized it as much, and it's 15-inch. So really, if you want to fit 3, you want 12-inch, right? 3 12s, 36. So once again, it really depends on the specs. Modular. See, for me, I don't get it. I mean, gas, I understand the deep fryer, the grill, the tabernacle, but gas and induction, I just default to induction myself. But you have a number of good options, and we can get into specifics if you want to leave a more directed question.
Couple more questions here. There's a question about which single ovens are best under a cooktop with controls. I think that will heavily depend on what oven and cooktop you are envisioning, and maybe even the depth of your countertop. That might be very specific.
Yeah, I would say, generally there, you want to make sure you're sticking within the same brand, because at this point, you can kind of put a cooktop or a single oven underneath a cooktop, but when you do that, you definitely want to stick within that brand as they're kind of made to fit together a little bit. But certainly you want to double check heights, make sure they're not going into the toe kick, that sort of thing. But no, absolutely, that can be done with a lot of different brands now.
Can be done with a lot. And the reason why you can't do gas, you could do probably more in the induction side, depending on the depth of the cooktop, because where the gas regulator comes out, it seems like the manufacturers kind of make an allowance with that with their wall ovens a little bit. But I would stay within the same brand, certainly with that. Or have your contractor or even us look at those specs so we can take a look, because sometimes it goes down or back or whatever, and that just changes if you're mixing brands. It may not fit, and you don't want to break the toe kick. That's the reason why you do it, right?
So we have a question. it is that getting toward that time of the year again. Grills for 2023. Are we seeing any stock issues? We want to talk about that lineup or how we see that shaking out?
Yes. We just did good. Right, Fran.
Yeah, no, it's fun. We've been talking about grills a lot, and it's going to be an interesting year. And I think, you're definitely still seeing some supply chain issues. And, what we've tried to do is really try to kind of hone in on some of the more popular models to make sure that they have some availability there. But even like brands like Weber has definitely struggled kind of the last couple of years with availability and even accessory availability with kind of their Weber Crafted on some of their new Genesis models too. But we're definitely still going to see some availability issues. So what we would always say, especially in New England, where it's such a short market and short season, rather, you definitely want to make those decisions early on, especially if you're doing an outdoor kitchen, anything like that, because some of these can definitely take a little bit to come in. So you want to make sure you're planning early and kind of making that decision early, where, we really have a couple months of summer here. So it goes quick in New England for sure. So you want to definitely be planning ahead for that.
Yeah, Weber, it's funny, Weber's CEO got sacked, right? And the grossing Scotco, they're like, they were the outside category just blew up during the pandemic because you figure you can't go anywhere. You may as well go in your backyard and grill, right? And they kind of remind me of Peloton in a lot of ways. They thought the good times were going to roll forever. And then they made a design change with that Weber Crafted, where, to knock off the Black Rock grill, the griddle, and they never came up with the accessories. The supply chain was a mess. And then people stopped buying grills because you can't have record year after record year after record year after record year. It just doesn't work like that. So they have a identity crisis for sure. Another kind of line that really kind of suffered was Lynx. And I think a lot of the reason is because they're a small division of a much larger company. So when you go to a much larger company, when you're a much smaller division and say, we need help, they'll say, well, you'll get help after the main divisions get their help. So they were kind of like the last people to get supported by Middleby, I think, to some degree. And I love Lynx and I like Middleby, but that's just the reality of it. I think Heston does a nice job. Kalamazoo is just a phenomenal grill that you have to special order, and you special order that now to get it in season. But I think that kind of like under $1,000 to $2,000 grill, I don't know. And again, when you talk about grills, you're talking about the same things I said with Italian ranges, right? It's just so many bad grills out there. I remember our chef put her hand on a grill while it was still going. Remember that? I mean, one of the ones we're bringing in, I mean, that's a major cold spot you want on a grill. So just be careful.
And we'll wrap up here. Jane sent in a question that ends this very nicely for us. With the aforementioned inventory issues, will there be some good options at the warehouse sale on Saturday? Perfect way to wrap this up. Who wants to take that one?
I'd be surprised to see Sub-Zero. We better not. I mean, seriously. If we get Sub-Zero Wolf at a warehouse clearance, there's going to be a line of upset customers that, well, I should have had this a year ago. Yeah, it's funny. We haven't had one of them in a while. And they're kind of a fun thing to do to get rid of old floor models. We have a very liberal return policy. If you don't like it, you just pay the delivery charge. As long as you haven't used it, we can resell it. Got a lot of that. We scratch and damage because we're not perfect. We deliver in tight spaces in Boston. You get some of that. Some overstock where we, like Weber, overestimated the actual market. So I think you're going to see a lot of good stuff, a lot of really good stuff there. Get a Yale card so you can get in early. But I wouldn't see Sub-Zero Wolf, Thermador, Bosch dishwashers. I wouldn't plan on sending any of those.
So our warehouse clearance is this Saturday at our corporate headquarters in Stoughton, 8:30 to 11. You can get in at 8 a.m. If you're a Yale card holder. You can apply for the Yale card on our website, and you can see a preview, Jane, of some models that will be in the sale on our blog.
You doing a video of what it looks like?
We have a, yeah, we have a short little teaser we can
That'd be great.
share. Yeah. Yep. And with that, we can wrap up for today. We will share this on our, be on the lookout for an email, the recording and the presentation. We will post this up on YouTube for posterity, and send us any questions when you get the email that
Be
came
good
up
to
along
see
the
this.
way.
Be good to see this in 2 years, whether we're selling the GE combo, whether that's put out to pasture.
Well, mark the tape. We're gonna have a flashback.
Exactly. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for all the great questions. Have a good one.
Thank you.